Over 1,000 years ago, as Europe was engulfed in chaos and kingdoms vied for dominance, one Viking warrior carved his name into history. He was more than just a fierce fighter. He was a brilliant leader, an ambitious king, and a relentless conqueror who fought his way from the frozen north to the magnificent strongholds of the Byzantine Empire. Harald Hardrada, the last great Viking king, embarked on an unending journey of warfare, claiming distant lands, amassing vast riches, and striking fear into the hearts of his enemies. But no matter how powerful a man may be, fate always has its own plans. How did his legendary journey come to an end? Was he truly the greatest warrior of the Viking Age? Join us as we uncover the untold history of this extraordinary man. Harald Sigurdsson, better known as Harald Hardrada, was born in 1015 in Norway. He was the half-brother of King Olaf Haraldsson, who would later be canonized as a saint. From an early age, Harald displayed extraordinary military talent and an unyielding ambition to become a legendary warrior. Harald's youth unfolded during a tumultuous period in Norway's history, marked by power struggles and relentless wars between rival factions. Raised with the Viking warrior ethos, he was rigorously trained in swordsmanship, strategy, and leadership, preparing himself for the battles that lay ahead. In 1030, at the age of just 15, Harald took part in the Battle of Stiklestad, one of the most pivotal battles in Norwegian history. The battle was fought to reclaim the throne for Olaf from the traitors who had seized power, but their forces were brutally crushed by the army of King Canute the Great. Olaf fell in battle, while Harald, though still a boy, demonstrated remarkable bravery. Fighting until the very last moment, he suffered severe wounds yet managed to escape the enemy's grasp. Despite this crushing defeat, Harald refused to abandon his ambitions. Instead of returning to Norway, he chose exile, embarking on a decades-long journey across distant lands. But it was through these years of hardship and adventure that he forged himself into one of the most formidable warriors of the Viking Age. After his defeat at the Battle of Stiklestad, Harald was forced to flee Norway to escape his enemies. He made his way to Kievan Rus, a powerful kingdom at the time, where he found refuge under Prince Yaroslav the Wise. Under Yaroslav's protection, Harald not only survived, but also honed his combat skills, leadership abilities, and diplomatic acumen. However, Harald's ambitions stretched far beyond mere survival. He craved power, glory, and the thrill of greater conquests. After serving Yaroslav for some time, Harald gathered a band of Viking warriors and set his sights on the Byzantine Empire. There, he joined the elite Varangian Guard, the most formidable force sworn to protect the Byzantine Emperor. These Norse warriors were prized for their unwavering loyalty and unmatched prowess in battle. Harald quickly proved his worth on the battlefield. He fought in campaigns across the Mediterranean, from Sicily to Asia Minor, from Palestine to the shores of North Africa. Under his command, the Varangian Guard won decisive victories, plundered great treasures, and expanded the influence of the Byzantine Empire. His exceptional military skill and leadership earned him high praise and considerable wealth within the imperial court. Yet, Harald's reputation extended beyond the battlefield. Rumors spread that he had grown close to a Byzantine princess, possibly Maria, the daughter of Emperor Constantine V. This caused unease in the imperial court, especially among those who feared Harald's rising power. Eventually, the emperor saw him as a threat, and Harald was imprisoned. But the Viking warrior was not one to be caged. Using his cunning and determination, he orchestrated a daring escape from Constantinople, fleeing with immense riches and invaluable war experience that would shape his destiny. After years of warfare, accumulating wealth and fame, Harald made the momentous decision to return home in 1046. When he set foot on Norwegian soil, he was no longer the exiled young warrior, but a seasoned fighter, immensely wealthy and driven by an unrelenting ambition. However, the throne of Norway was no longer vacant. It belonged to King Magnus Olafsson, the son of Olaf Haraldsson, the very king Harald had once fought to defend. Rather than waging an immediate war for power, Harald chose a more strategic approach: negotiation. With a formidable army of loyal Viking warriors and an intimidating reputation, he convinced Magnus to accept a power-sharing agreement. For a brief period, the two ruled Norway together. However, in 1047, Magnus suddenly died under mysterious circumstances, leaving Harald as the sole ruler of Norway. As king, Harald sought not only to consolidate his power, but also to expand his influence throughout Scandinavia. He launched aggressive campaigns to reclaim control over Denmark, engaging in fierce battles against King Sweyn Estridsson. Though he was unable to conquer Denmark outright, Harald struck fear into the hearts of his enemies and solidified his dominance over Norway. His reign was marked by a blend of ruthless authority and masterful strategy. While he was a harsh ruler, sometimes even brutal, his leadership was undeniable. He crushed any sign of rebellion with swift and decisive force, ensuring that Norway remained firmly under his control. Harald was not merely a warrior king. He was a commander who understood the delicate balance between fear and respect, a leader whose name would be etched into history as the last great Viking king. In 1066, Harald Hardrada embarked on the greatest ambition of his life, the invasion of England. He believed he had a rightful claim to the English throne following the death of King Edward the Confessor, based on past agreements between the Norwegian and English royal families. Determined not to let this opportunity slip away, Harald assembled a formidable army of over 10,000 Viking warriors and hundreds of warships, setting sail for England with unyielding resolve. Upon landing on Anglo-Saxon soil, Harald wasted no time in showcasing his military prowess. On September 20th, 1066, he secured a resounding victory at the Battle of Fulford Gate, crushing the northern English forces led by the Earls Edwin and Morcar. It was an overwhelming triumph that strengthened Harald's belief that England would soon fall under his rule. Following his victory, Harald advanced into York, a key stronghold in northern England. The city's leaders and people, recognizing the power of the Viking warlord, had little choice but to submit. With York under his control, Harald seemed poised to fulfill his grand ambition. However, his forces had little time to consolidate their hold, unaware that a far greater threat was already rushing toward them. What Harald did not anticipate was the swift and decisive response of King Harold Godwinson, the newly crowned ruler of England. In a remarkable feat of endurance, Godwinson and his Anglo-Saxon army marched over 300 kilometers from the south in just a matter of days, catching the Vikings completely off guard. Before Harald could fortify his position, he found himself facing an unexpected and fateful showdown at Stamford Bridge, where destiny would deal him its final cruel blow. On September 25, 1066, Harald Hardrada faced the English army at Stamford Bridge in what would become his final battle. His Viking warriors, though formidable, were caught off guard by the astonishing speed of King Harold Godwinson's forces. With little time to prepare, many Viking soldiers were unarmored when the battle began. Despite this disadvantage, the Norsemen fought valiantly. One lone Viking warrior famously stood on the narrow bridge, wielding a massive axe and single-handedly holding off the advancing English for hours. His heroic stand became legendary, but ultimately, the English forces found a way to bypass the bridge, overwhelming the Vikings on the main battlefield. Harald, ever the fearless warrior, led his men into the heart of the fight, refusing to retreat. Under the blazing September sun, the battle raged with unmatched ferocity. The Viking king fought with the strength and skill of a true warlord, but in the midst of combat, an arrow struck him in the throat, bringing his legendary life to a sudden and tragic end. His fall shattered Viking morale, and soon after, their forces crumbled. The remaining Norse warriors were either slain or forced to retreat, marking a devastating defeat. With Stamford Bridge, King Harold Godwinson secured a momentous victory, eliminating the threat from the north. However, he had little time to celebrate. Just weeks later, another invader, William, Duke of Normandy, landed on English shores with an even greater army. The ensuing Battle of Hastings would forever alter the course of English history. And so, with the death of Harald Hardrada, the Viking Age, the era of legendary Norse warriors, fearless raiders, and ambitious conquerors, came to a symbolic and decisive end. Harald Hardrada was not just a king. He was the final embodiment of the Viking Age. He represented the unyielding spirit, courage, and boundless ambition of the Vikings. His life was a series of grand adventures, from his exile in Kievan Rus fighting for the Byzantine Empire, to his ambitious conquests across Scandinavia and England. Under Harald's reign, Norway was not only strengthened but also became a formidable power in northern Europe. He established a strong rule, maintained order within his kingdom, and continuously expanded his influence abroad. Thanks to Harald's policies, Norway entered a period of stability, laying the foundation for its transition from the Viking Age to a medieval European kingdom. Though his defeat at Stamford Bridge ended his dream of ruling England, Harald Hardrada is still remembered as one of the greatest warriors of the Viking world. He was an exceptional leader, a brilliant strategist, and a fearless fighter. His death was not just the end of a man, but the closing chapter of an entire era, the era of the mighty Viking warriors who once roamed and conquered Europe. Today, Harald Hardrada's legacy continues to echo in Norse sagas, legends, and monuments across Norway. His name is remembered as a symbol of the undying Viking spirit, resilience, loyalty, and an unrelenting desire for conquest. Though the days of Viking longships have long passed, Harald Hardrada's spirit lives on in history, inspiring future generations with his courage, determination, and unwavering ambition. If you found this story fascinating, don't forget to hit the like button, share it with your friends, and subscribe to the channel for more legendary tales from history.